A Wisconsin cruise ship passenger faces years in Cayman Islands prison after a gun was found in her. Carol Ann McNeil Scorapan's ship had anchored at Georgetown in the Cayman Islands last month, the first stop on a 9-night Caribbean cruise that departed from Florida. Once in port on February 3, the 68-year-old Madison, Wisconsin, woman got a notice that her third piece of luggage, which hadn't arrived with her flight from Wisconsin to Fort Lauderdale, had been found and flown down to the Georgetown airport. But when McNeil Scorapan went to pick it up, her vacation turned into an expensive lesson in how American gun rights don't always travel well, and that could land her in a foreign prison. Inside that third bag, X-rays showed, was a .25 caliber handgun and 6 rounds of ammunition. Despite her claim, conviction carries a mandatory 7-year prison term upon a guilty plea, 10 years if convicted at trial, unless the court finds exceptional. She's among dozens of Americans caught up in the Cayman Islands' strict enforcement of gun laws, but one of only 2 facing trial and a risk of significant incarceration. According to reports in the Cayman Compass, the Cayman Islands' main news outlet, McNeil Scorapan spent 3 nights in jail before her release on $10,000 bail and the surrender of her passport. She was living in a... McNeil Scorapan didn't ask that Delta forward the bag, her lawyer told the court, and had directed that it should be left with a friend in Florida, Meadows said. A judge later granted her permission to travel, and Meadows said she's back in Madison. He said he has been. Meadows, 54, who is in Florida awaiting a hearing in May, is in bigger trouble. He has already He thinks McNeil Scorapan's best option is to just skip her trial, but that could impact her professional licenses. It's unclear if McNeil Scorapan was planning to bring the gun on her cruise, since Celebrity Cruises bans passengers from taking firearms on board. McNeil Scorapan is a certified public accountant and active in the Dane County Republican Party. She did not return a voicemail or Facebook message, and her Cayman attorney did not return an email or phone message. Guns and ammunition are strictly regulated in the Cayman Islands, a British overseas territory south of Cuba and northwest of Jamaica, as several other visitors have learned recently. Officials with the country's government did not return calls and emails from the Journal Sentinel. The Cayman Compass reported last month that a 58-year-old man was about to board a February 20 flight to North Carolina when an X-ray revealed a single .22 caliber round in his carry-on bag. He was detained and missed his flight. In court, a magistrate noted that, unfortunately, the island had experienced several recent cases of Americans with guns or ammunition, citing liberal U.S. gun laws and increased travel from the country to the Cayman Islands. The magistrate imposed what the Compass reported is a common disposition in such cases, in order to pay about $1,000 in costs, and no conviction. A 21-year-old man who went to the Caymans for KAABOO, an outdoor music festival, was arrested February 17 as he prepared to fly back to the U.S. after X-rays showed 12 unspecified rounds of ammunition in his backpack. That man's lawyer told a magistrate his client had found the ammunition while hiking weeks earlier and had simply forgotten the rounds were in the backpack. He said the young man also plans to join the U.S. Army, his lawyer said. Though the visitor pleaded last year, a 62-year-old Minnesota man was fined $13,000 for a gun and ammunition he had flown to Cayman in a suitcase but wasn't discovered until he was trying to leave. He also had to others. Meadows said he thinks authorities want to make an example of him to appease anti-American sentiments among some of the nation's approximately 61,000 residents, the majority of whom are non-white. Meadows' case seems to be the biggest among the Americans with guns prosecutions. Medor said he's building an expensive retirement home on Cayman Brac. When Cayman Medor said employees at his Dania Beach window company packed the ammo by mistake. When asked if he was charged with import and possession of the gun and the ammunition, plus possession of a BB gun. He had to control pests at the construction site. He said he was now, he says, they've reneged. He's supposed to he noted that he flew his gun there on a Cayman Airways without a problem, and that most other cases involve catching tourists on their way out of the country, because bringing his gun without first obtaining a Cayman license, which, as a property owner there and a gun permit holder in Florida, he could have done for $130 was stupid. Medor said he didn't know the Cayman gun law. Medor said he has engaged a U.S. lawyer and been in contact with Florida members of Congress. A spokesman for says possessing a gun or ammunition, even a single round, is a common reason for arrests. The advisory may contact Bruceville Medi at 414-224-2187 or blmedi at juniorn.com. Follow Wahim on. This article originally appeared on Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.